Hey, welcome to week 8 of Bible Studies for Life. We're in a little bit different place today. Hurricane came through where our office is, and we've got no power and all of that. So I'm in my other office today shooting this. Well, it looks a little bit different, but I think it's still going to work, okay? All right, we're looking at Exodus chapter 17. So let's dive into this passage. Oh, wait, before we do, like, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, comment, tell us where you're watching from. If you've got a question, put your question in there. And be sure and share the video with somebody else. Okay. At Rephidim, Amalek came and it fought against Israel. So Israel is in a war here. Okay, this is under the leadership of Moses. The people have had good and bad days. Things have gone well for them. Things have not gone well. They have complained. That's a kind of a theme of the Israelite nation. A lot of complaining. Moses and the Lord have answered these complaints, provided them water, provided them food, but they're always complaining. And now it's time to fight one of the enemies that's on the path for them. Okay, so they come there, and Amalek comes, and he's going to fight against Israel. It's as Moses says to Joshua, select some men for us, and let's go fight against Amalek. He says, tomorrow. The war is going to happen tomorrow. You guys need to be ready because you're going to war tomorrow, all right? There's not going to be a delay here. We're going tomorrow, and I will stand on the hilltop with God's staff in my hand. This is the staff that has led them through the Red Sea. You know, this has been a huge deal for them. It's the staff that he struck the rock with. Water comes out. This is the staff that shows, or God uses as a way of indicating his provision for them and his work and action on their behalf. And so he says, you get ready to fight tomorrow. I'm going to go up on the hill and stand. So Joshua did as Moses told him. He fought against Amalek with Moses, Aaron, and Hur, went up to the top of the hill. And while Moses held up his hands with the staff, Israel prevailed, right? As long as he held up his hand, Israel prevailed. But when he put his hand down, Amalek prevailed. Hands up, they prevail. Hands down, they don't. Why is that? We don't know. Is this God was doing this? Was this inspiration that they had when they saw Moses up on the hill? We don't know what it was, but this was what was happening, okay? This is not a prescription of what has to occur every time you go into battle, that the general has to hold his hands up. It's just a description of what happened, okay? And so they see this. They realize what's happening. And so when Moses' hands grew heavy, they took a stone and they put it under him. They put this stone under him, and he sits down on it. And then Aaron and Hur support his hands. So they're on each side holding his hands up, right? One on one side, one on the other, so that his hands remained steady until the sun went down and Joshua defeated Amalek and his army with the sword. So the men fought the fight. They battled. They killed the enemy. But Moses was there with his hands up, and Aaron and Hur had this what may seem an odd role and may seem unimportant. You know, you go there and you be with Moses, but they see what's happening, and so they're holding his hands up for him when he's too tired to hold them up. I mean, remember, Moses is well over 80 when this occurs. Okay. Their role may seem unimportant. It may have seemed to them unimportant. It may have seemed to them, what are we doing here? Why are we participating in it? What is our role in this whole thing? But their role was important, even though they may not have thought so, even though others may not have thought so, even though other people may have seen it as useless or superfluous. Them being there and watching what was happening and then stepping in to help, putting the stone here. Moses, sit down. He's over 80. Here, have a seat. We'll hold your hands up. And while his hands are up, they won the war. Look, there's a part of this is just to understand that there are roles that we may not think have great value, but which do have value. When God puts us in a place, he puts us in a place to serve him as he desires. Not as we want, but as he wants, okay? And that's important. And then to understand that when we have that place, we're to fulfill what we're there for. Do what you're there for. Be where your feet are. That's a great thing, right? You hear that a lot. Be where your feet are. Where you are, that's where you need to be. And do what God has given you the opportunity to do where you are. Don't wait for some glamorous position to then be obedient to the Lord. You be obedient at the moment God puts you in a place. and be faithful wherever God puts you. And so that's what they did. They were faithful, and Israel won. Now, let me picture them getting home that evening, right? And the family's like, hey, what did you do today? Oh, we won the war. Yeah, what did you do? Did you kill people? Were you leading the division? You know, what were you doing? Oh, no, we were holding Moses' hands up. And other people may not think it's important. But it doesn't matter what other people think. It really doesn't matter what we think. What matters is if we are obedient to what God calls us to, the place where he puts us. And that's what they did. Okay, we're going to skip. Here we are. We're in Exodus 17. We're skipping to Exodus 24. Okay, we get to Exodus 24, and here we have verse 13. So Moses arose with his assistant Joshua. You see this Joshua has, here, he says to Joshua, you go out and fight. Right now here, at the end, he's the assistant. He has risen in his stature. Okay? And he went up to the mountain of God. Now catch this next verse. He told the elders, you wait here until we return. Aaron and Hur are here with you. Whoever has a dispute, go to them. When Moses went up the mountain, the cloud covered it. Okay. In between these times, Moses has had a visit from his father-in-law, Jethro, who's told him basically, look, you can't decide everything. You don't have time or energy to answer everybody's problems. You need to establish judges, basically, and, run them down. So you've got kind of top, middle, lower, these levels. They all deal with different levels of people, and only the big stuff comes to you. So Moses has started doing that. He's learned this, the art of delegation, the value of delegation. Okay, now he and Joshua are going to go up the mountain of God. They're going up to have a meeting with God. The cloud's going to cover it. They're not going to be seen or heard from. Nobody's going to know what's going on up there while they're there, okay? And somebody needs to take care of what's happening. Remember, the Israelites are literally hundreds of thousands of people. Somebody's got to oversee them. They can't just be left on their own, right? And he says, Aaron and Hur, they're the guys. You get a problem, you go talk to them. Now, there's time that has passed, probably months, maybe years that have passed in this. A lot of things have happened, but what we see is that Aaron and Hur have risen in what they are doing because they were faithful in the little thing of holding the arms up. They had opportunity then to do this big, right? Where they're in charge. And Moses and Joshua are gone, and it's Aaron and Hur. They're the guys in charge. They rose. Now I want you to see something, two things about this. One is the value of doing the little things and how God takes our faithfulness and elevates it, right? Gives us greater opportunities when we're faithful in small things. He gives us great opportunities in large things. That's important. Number two, the value for Moses of letting go, of delegating, of turning over, of raising up the next generation of leaders and how important that is. So we should think about this from both sides of that, okay? If you're not experienced in leadership, be faithful in whatever it is you get an opportunity to do. Take every opportunity to serve and to be faithful in doing that and do it well and do it without desire for laud or commendation. Just do it to serve the Lord. But secondly, if you have already had time in leadership, you spent time, you need to be looking immediately for who's next. Who's next? Who will do it next? Who will take over for you? Who can fill that spot? Who can take another leadership spot that needs to be filled? So we need to constantly be raising up new leaders. And so you have to look around and go, okay, who is it? And what are those things that are indicators to us that this person is a potential leader? I think, we first ask the question, well, where do I see God at work? Who is being obedient to the Lord? Who's being faithful to God in whatever they have now? And is it obvious that God is working and moving in their life? Which doesn't mean that they're going to one day be a preacher or something, but they may be a great Sunday school teacher, small group leader. They may become a great leader in some other area, some other ministry within the church. But we need to be looking to see where is God working, in whose life do we see him moving, so we can then encourage those people to have opportunities for faithfulness, for service, that will grow into other opportunities, into larger opportunities. So we need to constantly and consistently be intentional about looking for the next leader. Okay? Those of you who are teaching Sunday school classes, you need to be looking for who is it. Give them opportunities. Maybe let them teach part of a class, part of a lesson, or do some part of the teaching somewhere, or give them a Sunday when you're going to be gone. But maybe you start small with part of the lesson, and then the next time they're doing the whole lesson and you're still there. Okay? Find ways to turn in the next generation. We need the next generation of leaders. It's very important. All right, thanks for watching. I hope that's helped. This is a great passage on leadership and on generational turning over to a new generation, how important that is. All right, appreciate you watching. Be sure and subscribe, like, comment, share with somebody else. We'll see you next time.